Gambia's Truth Commission renews commitment to hear a case of more than 50 migrants allegedly killed by Jammeh. Ghana's government bans importation of second-hand clothing amidst fears they could spread coronavirus. These and more coming your way on The World Today. Hello, this is Africa TV and you are watching the World Today News Bulletin. I am Amadou Kante. Many thanks for joining us, and now the news in detail. Now, the Gambian President Adama Barrow on Wednesday conducted an inspection tour of ongoing infrastructural projects in the capital city Banjul. The President was accompanied by senior government officials as he inspected roads and sewage projects initiated by his government. Barrow said he is satisfied with the progress made in these projects. Let's take a listen to the President in this insert.
You have to do the roads, you have to do the drainage and see it together. And we are studying it, and really we think we will contact our partners so that we will work together and do Serekunda and do other places.
So far, are you satisfied with the work done?
I am satisfied with the work, and the man is also very positive. I think the man likes the project more than myself. So he's doing a very, very, very good job. So far, it is progressing. It is a project that should last for about 3 to 4 years, and we are just almost halfway. I think he's doing very well.
Then President Adama Barrow speaking there, and we will bring you more of his inspections of projects, ongoing projects in the Banjul in our upcoming news bulletins. But for now, we move on and report on matters of the TRC, because on Tuesday, the lone survivor of the 2005 killing of more than 50 West African migrants joined the families of other victims, asking Gambia's Truth Commission to call to officials in the present and the former governments directly or indirectly involved to testify. While Martin Kere and the victims' families want Gambia's current Minister of Interior Yakuba Sonko and the current Basse Police Commander Issa Baji to appear before the Truth Commission. The CC tells us more of that in this report.
With calls for justice increasingly delayed by what activists say appears to be a lack of will from the government of Ghana and the previous and current governments of the Gambia. The fight for justice for more than 50 West African migrants killed in the Gambia in July 2005 have now reached the ECOWAS Court of Justice. People who participated in the killings have already confessed to the Gambia's Third Commission, but this did not stop a coalition of activists in Ghana and the Gambia to push for more testimonies and evidence. Therefore, they have called on the Third Commission to summon key individuals in the previous and the current governments of the Gambia to testify before it on the 2005 killings. To respond to this call, Third Commission's lead counsel Issa Fall on Wednesday told journalists that the Commission takes the rights of victims and that of their families seriously.
The TRRC takes the massacre of the 56 West Africans very, very seriously. We take very seriously any single loss of life, let alone of 56 West Africans.
Martin Keira and the families of the victims of the 2005 killings criticized the Third Commission for ignoring their correspondences. On Wednesday, the Commission's lead counsel said the Commission has yet to conclude its investigations on the death of the migrants, but initial investigations revealed that they were killed by the junglers, a death squad operated by former President Yahya Jammeh.
We have not completed our investigation of the massacre of the West African migrants. We've done the first part, which is to bring out the evidence of the junglers who carried out the killings. And I think that put to rest the question as to whether those migrants died and where they were killed and by whom they were killed. But of course, there are certain things that we still need to do in order to finish this investigation.
Pressure is mounting on the governments of the Gambia and Ghana to bring to justice those responsible for the killing of the West African migrants. But Issa Fall said the Commission will do its work without pressure or instructions from any institution or individual.
But I would say it quite clearly that the TRRC would not dance to the tune of any individual or institution. We will not be directed to or dictated by anyone as to what to do or how to do our work. We would do it to the best of our ability. We would do what we believe is right. We would do what we believe is what we should do in order to discharge our responsibilities under the Act.
In July 2005, 44 Ghanaian migrants and 12 other West Africans from Nigeria, Senegal, Togo, and Cote d'Ivoire were forcibly disappeared in the Gambia while on their way to Europe by sea. The migrants, including one Gambian, were never heard from again except for one who managed to escape and alert authorities across the border in Senegal. For iAfrica News, I am Daisy.
And from the report there by Daisy, next to Nigeria, where the impact of the coronavirus pandemic and the fall in oil price have forced Nigeria to slip into recession. The West African nation's economy was largely brought to its knees in the final quarter due to the poor performance of the oil sector, authorities say, as the country pedals its way out of the economic effects of the global health crisis. Authorities were entangled with a nationwide protest of the NSAS movement. Here are more details of that in this report.
It was always known that Nigeria's economy was going to contract in the third quarter and slip into recession after a second quarter contraction. What was difficult to tell was by how much the economy was going to contract. The Nigeria Bureau of Statistics has now put the third quarter contraction at 3.62%. Second quarter contraction was 6.10%.
The oil sector was largely responsible for the slowdown in the economic activity in this third quarter, as it recorded a very sharp contraction of minus 13.89%, the largest decline in this quarter in the past 14 quarters. The slowdown in global economic growth and oil demand consequent upon COVID-19 pandemic, as well as our obligations to meet OPEC cuts, were principally responsible for the slowdown in the oil and gas sector.
For the better part of this year, Nigeria's economy had literally been on a lockdown as authorities struggled to contain the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic. The collapse in the price of oil globally worsened matters for the country, which heavily relies on revenue from crude sales to drive its economy. And then there was the hashtag NSAS protest, which happened just as the country was emerging from the COVID-19 induced lockdown. All of this combined with other factors to throw the country into its present recession.
These are difficult times, and that the government had to take some very difficult decisions. There are some reforms that have been taken that could not be taken for years. And while we recognize that things are very difficult, let us encourage the people that are working on these reforms so that they can have the strength to continue.
The government is optimistic the recession will be short-lived. Minister of Finance Zainab Ahmed says the country will exit the recession by the fourth quarter or at worst the first quarter of 2021. But with labor unions in the country poised for a general strike over the increase in petrol price, that could derail the anticipated recovery.
Our expectations of a quick exit, which will be historically fast, is anchored on the several complementary real sector and monetary interventions that have been proactively introduced by government to forestall a far worse decline of the economy and alleviate the negative consequences of the pandemic.
Well, if you have another strike or protest on account of labor strike, it's going to be a major setback for all the recovery efforts or prospects for the Nigerian economy. We have not fully recovered from the shock and the devastation of the NSAS protest. A lot of investors are still counting their losses. The economy is yet to restore, to be restored to normalcy and all of that.
But most importantly, Nigeria will be hoping that the global economy gathers steam as soon as possible, especially with the recent announcements around COVID-19 vaccines. If the global economy continues to slow down as we're seeing at the moment, then it's inevitable that Nigeria's recovery would be delayed.
The impact of the coronavirus pandemic and the fall in price of the global oil price, I should say, has continued to affect the Nigerian economy. And from that report there in Abuja, we come back home and return to matters of the TRC again, because Omar M. Dabo, a former lieutenant in the army, on Tuesday recalled the torture sessions he underwent in the hands of the state agents of allegations he was involved in a coup in the year 2000. He denied being part of the coup against ex-dictator Yahya Jammeh and dismissed any knowledge of the plan, but was tortured by the national intelligence agents anyway, as he said. Now let's have more details of that in this report.
Omar Dabo was at work in the State House when Lalo Jaite's wife called him and informed him that her husband was arrested by masked military men. As a duty officer, he went to take permission from his seniors to go home, but was intercepted at gunpoint and put under arrest. He was handcuffed, kicked and thrown in a vehicle and taken to the National Intelligence Agency, NIA headquarters, for interrogation. At NIA, he denied having knowledge of the coup, and Operative Fode Bari ordered men to deal with him.
I think they flipped a chair under me, and then I fell on the ground, and then they started beating me, kicking, punching, and as that was going on, I had to protect my head. That's when I received another kick on my back, which I was telling you, that plus the rifle butt on my first day of arrest may have contributed to my sciatic nerve. So, but yes, these guys were all over me. And because everybody asked them to.
He gave them the order to torture you?
Yes.
State agents told Omar Dabo to implicate Lalo Jaite in the coup so that he would be freed and safe from torture, but he refused and got tortured again. He said NIA operative Sukuta Jammeh asked him questions about political figures and his relationship with them.
Sukuta specifically asked me, what is my relationship with Bibi Dabo? I told him, well, Bibi Dabo was our MP, Kiang West. He is Dabo, I am Dabo. We may be an extended family, but I was too junior to have any contact with him. But my brother in the village was a key member of his politics. Yeah, so that was my answer.
And which Bibi Dabo are you referring to? The ex-minister during the PPP government?
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. And who else were you linked with?
I was asked again my relationship with Usainu Dabo. Yes, I said for Usainu, I knew he's from Sierra. But beyond that, maybe he's Dabo, I am Dabo too. And further to that, if you are alleging me to be on the move to overthrow that government, so it's like, okay, these ones are trying with the ballot box. If they don't succeed, then let's lose our brother, to use the bullet.
Lieutenant Omar Dabo told the Truth Commission on Tuesday that he suffered swollen cheeks, bruises, and internal pain as a result of the beatings. He was arraigned before a court and charged with treason and subsequently jailed for life. But he spent only 3 years and a month in jail and was released and dismissed from the army. Born in 1972 at Kiang Sendeng in the Lower River region, Omar enlisted into the army in 1994 and in 1995 went to Ghana for officer training and got promoted to the rank of second lieutenant. In 1998, he went to Guinea-Bissau as part of the peacekeeping mission and was a full lieutenant at the time of his arrest in the year 2000. For iAfrica TV, I am Fatmata Kasim.
Well, more witnesses continue up here before the ongoing hearings of the TRC, and we'll bring you more of testimonies in the ongoing hearings, of course, of the Gambia Truth Commission. But for now, we'll take a break and come back shortly with the remaining of the story. Stay with us, we'll be right back. Welcome back, and you're watching the World Today News Bulletin on Africa TV, and many thanks for joining us. Now, the Ghanaian government has begun enforcing a law that bans the importation of second-hand clothing into the country following concerns that could spread the coronavirus. Despite the suspension in March, 26 years after the law was passed, some dealers still managed to sneak some goods into the country. The enforcement of the ban means many traders and employees risk losing their jobs. Here are more details of that in this report.
This is Ghana's biggest and busiest second-hand clothing market, Kantamanto in Accra. With over 30,000 stands, shoppers can get everything from used men's underwear to designer clothes. The trade in hand-me-downs provides jobs for hundreds of people here. Janet Eduful and many traders say they have suffered huge losses due to the coronavirus pandemic.
COVID-19 has really affected our business. Our customers have been complaining that the virus could be in the clothes, so they don't buy. But we try to explain to them that when the goods are exported, they take up to 3 months to reach Ghana, by which time the clothes would have been free of the virus.
The World Health Organization says the coronavirus is unlikely to spread through clothes, but the Ghana Standards Authority, which is responsible for maintaining product and service standards, thinks otherwise.
When these goods come in, they are touched by the dealers. They spread them, even assuming they are fumigated, the COVID-19 is not there. They spread them, they deal with them, so somebody who has a disease and touches them can have it. And once you have it and people go to buy, they will also be contaminated. So it is possible that second-hand clothes can be a source of COVID-19.
This isn't the first time concerns have been raised about the potential health hazards of using second-hand clothing. In 2011, the government planned to enforce the ban on second-hand clothing, arguing that it was unhygienic, but backed down after facing stiff opposition from traders. This time, the government stood its ground, and in March, it started enforcing a law banning the import of hand-me-downs for the first time since the legislation was passed 26 years ago. Braziers, panties, and handkerchiefs have all been blacklisted, but other products continued to flood the market after lockdown restrictions were eased in April.
Most of them come through the ports, so we have officers stationed at the port 24 hours 7. They are always there and they inspect. When they inspect and they come across them, they seize them. Unless it is hidden in such a way that we can't find them. But once we find them, we seize them. Sometimes the trick is that they mix them with other products, other imported items.
For those who buy the used clothing, It's a case of what they can afford.
I buy second-hand clothes because they are cheap. They say the clothes are fumigated before they get to Ghana, so I hope I don't get infected with COVID-19 when I use the clothes.
The Ghana Standards Authority, however, says it's uncertain if the used clothing is free of the virus after being fumigated and shipped to the country. But banning the import of second-hand clothing in its entirety could lead to loss of jobs and push many traders into poverty.
From that report there in Accra, Ghana, finally we come back home again. Now, following testimonies of several witnesses on the brutality of National Intelligence Agency, which used torture as a major weapon against real and perceived opponents of dictator Yahya Jammeh, the Truth, Reconciliation and Reparation Commission on Wednesday announced it will begin new teams in December. Let's have more details of that in this report.
The chairman of the Truth Commission, Dr. Lamin J. Cisse, made a brief statement on Wednesday announcing that the commission will cover new topics in its public hearings from next month. The past 2 months has been largely dedicated to testimonies on the brutality and human rights violations perpetrated by the National Intelligence Agency as an institution. The agency, popularly known by its acronym NIA, was used as a torture mechanism that beat confessions out of suspects for crimes allegedly committed. NIA operatives have also been involved in extrajudicial killings and enforced disappearance during Yahya Jammeh's 22-year rule. The commission's chairman said on Wednesday that the next hearings will be segmented on the themes including the killing of West African migrants.
The remaining themes cover the following. A. The killing of West African migrants in 2005. B. The enforced disappearance of journalist Ibrahim Amani and others.
Flanjang, wolem journalist do kula men ikafa Ibrahim Amani ya yeman di banko kanyamin ananyong mo kotengulu men yeman ta o fanambe kulu kono jubero be kala menna.
C. The creation of instruments of oppression and the debasement of the Gambian constitution.
It has been 1 year since the Truth, Reconciliation and Reparations Commission opened its public hearings on January 7, 2019. With recommendations from the President Adama Barrow to extend its mandate, the Commission's investigations of rights abuses on the Yahya Jammeh will now conclude in May 2021.
The Attorney General and the Minister of Justice informed the Commission
between Attorney General me ya lonko atelefona mu minister ti memmarta tilumni loi kunya la banko kanga nyin kibaro di commission la ko
informed them he informed the Commission that the President, pursuant to Section 3.2 of the Act, has approved the said recommendation.
Bitu minister ngata kibaro memfutandi commission ko wala nyinti ko president mo atafanambe sartolu no makanya men alabunda men ba fly section 3.2 wa sartolu kono anata song pour ko wicho lafa me ya lonko wala commission la do ko wicho nyinti.
The Commission will therefore conclude its public hearings during the first week of May 2021.
At the end of its mandate, the Commission is expected to submit a final report containing its findings and recommendations to the President early July. The main task of the Truth Commission is to establish an impartial historical record of human rights abuses, such as killings, disappearances, and torture from July 1994 to January 2017. The Commission was also established to consider reparations for the victims of abuses and promote non-reoccurrence of such atrocities. For iAfrica News, I am Cisse.
And that report there by Ndesise finally brings this news bulletin to an end. But for more details on this and other stories, as always, you can visit to our website on africa.tv. But again, you can also join my colleague Mariama Cham for the Gambia 24 news bulletin at 19:30 GMT, the 7:30 local time. But for now, many thanks for the privilege of your company. Thanks for watching. Stay safe and bye for now.